name is Lincoln and welcome to my channel. And today we are finally doing it. I'm probably one of the last people to actually film this video, but here we are with the mid-year book freakout tag. I want to kind of address why we're right here, and that's because I've already filmed this video. The lighting was bad, and for some reason the frame was very tilted and I didn't realize it. So we're doing it again, and I figured this place has way better lighting and maybe a little bit more of a better sounding area and lighting area. So we're just gonna try it out right here. But that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about books. And this first half of the year has gone by so fast, and I've read so many books. Before we get into the actual questions, I wanted to go over and review my reading goals and see how I'm progressing in those, and also throw some stats up all around me. So, in the beginning of 2020, I made a list of reading goals. So I'm going to put that picture up on the screen now. Let's kind of go through those together and see if I'm progressing through them. The first one is read 50 books. I've completed this. I completed it in May. The beginning of May was when I read my 50th book, which is bonkers because for the past 2 years, 2018 and 2019, I've read just a few over 50 books. I think it was like 54 and then 56. Going from that till all of a sudden reading 50 books, not even in 6 months, I'm just gonna pat myself on the back for that. I think a lot of it has to do with becoming more involved in the BookTube and Bookstagram communities, and just whenever I surround myself with people that are doing the same things that I enjoy, it makes me want to do it more. So I've been reading a lot more. And I also have to thank the library because at the end of last year, we moved into this house and the library here is phenomenal. It is the best library I've ever had. Especially going from a small town where there was no library to now having the library that I do. It's a big game changer. The next one is to write more reviews for the books I've read. I think I've written 45 reviews, which I've been slacking. For the past 2 months, I haven't written a single review. I've been putting it off. And the longer I keep putting it off, the more books that have been added to the list of books I need to review, and it's getting overwhelming. The next one is to read more physical books over audiobooks. I'm not doing this. I'm going to figure out the ratio while I'm editing this because I don't want to do math right now. But I already know that it is nowhere near close to each other because just last month I read 11 audiobooks and like maybe 3 physical books. So it's not adding up. It is better than last year in 2019, and that is because of the library, but it's just so much easier to get audiobooks off of Libby and Hoopla than it is, especially right now, to go to the library and just pick up a ton of books. The next one is start a book blog. So I didn't start a blog in a sense, but I did start BookTube, and I consider that a win and checked off this 2020 reading goal. The next one is write my own books, and right now I am in the second draft of my first novel. I'm excited. I'm enjoying the story so much, and so I consider this one a success as well. And then on this thing, I had genres I want to read more of, which is funny. And it's kind of hard for me to say if I have done these or not, because I've been reading classics, but not the classics I was wanting to read. I've been reading more modern classics. And then for thrillers, I read a good chunk, but then I've only read one in the past like 3 months. I've been getting more into historical fiction, but I've only read 2 mangas, I think. Nonfiction, I haven't been doing that good in either. But the way I'm picking my TBR now, I have it set up to where I read at least 1 nonfiction book a month. So I consider those a work in progress. And then the last one is authors I want to try. So I've only read 2 of these authors on this list. So I need to get on it. And the 2 authors I've read is Liva Bray and Aaron Bowman. I have the books, I just haven't read them yet. I feel like I'm on track, doing good. Now onto the stats. After I finished my Goodreads goal of reading 50 books, I upped it because it wasn't even half of the year. So I upped it to 100 books, and right now my Goodreads says I'm at 94, which I know is a little incorrect because it's counted the books that I've reread twice in this 1 year, even though I didn't read them twice in this year, if that makes sense. I'm gonna need to tweak that a little bit, but this is the actual number of books I've read. Still a lot. And for star ratings all around, this is how many 5-star books I've read, this is how many 4-star books I've read, this is how many 3-star books I've read, this is how many 2-star books I've read, and this is how many 1-star books I've read, which, if I'm remembering correctly, I've only rated 1 book 1 star this year. This is how many books I've DNF'd, which I think is 12. But a lot of times I DNF a book and then I forget about it. So that number could be a lot higher. I also wanted to divide and see how many audiobooks, how many physical books, and how many ebooks I've read. And also how many books that I have accumulated over the past 6 months. So this is how many audiobooks I've read. This is how many physical books I've read. And this is how many ebooks I've read. I've either bought or been gifted 23 books this year, which I don't know if that's a lot for me. I mean, it's a lot in the sense that I'm not supposed to be buying any books this year because we're doing a no-buy year. But most of the books I buy are from Goodwill, so they're like 50 cents. I haven't bought any new books. The new books I did get were gifted to me, like the Selection series. So this bumped the number up quite a bit. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the actual questions, the thing you're actually here for. And the first one is the best book I've read so far. And that would have to be The Overdue Life of Amy Byler by Kelly Harms. I picked it up off of a whim whenever I was trying Kindle Unlimited for the first time, and I didn't really think much of it. I saw a cute cover, felt really bookish to me, and I was like, sure, why not? And I loved it. As soon as I finished it, I wanted to reread it, which never happens for me. I'm definitely going to be rereading it before the end of the year. The next question is the best sequel I've read so far, and this has to be Deathless Divide by Justina Ireland. So the first book, Dread Nation, I read last year, and it was one of my top 5 books of last year. So I had very high expectations, and this sequel, I finally got around to reading it, and it exceeded those expectations. I thought it was very well done. The next question is a new release I haven't read yet. And for this one, I have 2 because I have them with me and I'm hoping to read them this month, or at least start reading them this month. And those 2 are The Betrothed by Kira Cass. This is her newest book, and A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. Both of these books I recently got from the library, brand new. They still have their new sticker on, and I'm so excited to read both of these. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the next half of the year? And I don't know if this book is still coming out this year or not, but whenever it comes out, I'm excited to read it, and that is Smash It by Francine Simone. Francine Simone is an author, but also a booktuber on here as well, and I first found her channel whenever she announced that she had gotten this book deal. And so I've kind of watched this all, and I'm just so excited to get my hands on this book. It sounds like such an amazing premise with an effort list, and I hope it comes out soon. The next book is what is the book that was the biggest disappointment so far? And that one has to go to The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Oh, this book. I think I just set my expectations way too high for this book because I love the original trilogy so much, and I also love villain stories. I love getting to see the villain and kind of see the villain grow, and how they're not just this like bad to be bad type of villain, but if they're like complex actual human beings. Like, I love to see that. Combining those two things, I had a lot of high hopes for this, and it just did not meet them. It, in my opinion, fell flat, but I may reread it and give it another chance and it's kind of set my expectations where they probably should be, which is right now at 2 stars. So maybe if I reread it, I can accept it for what it actually is and not what it could have been. The next question is the biggest surprise so far, and that is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I picked this one up on a whim. I didn't think much of it. I was picking it up to have another book to add to one of my decade readathon weeks. I just saw that, yeah, this book was written in the decade that I was going for. I think it was the 30s. I was like, sure, why not pick it up? And I'm so glad I did. I loved this book so much, and it is more of a character-driven story than it is a plot-driven story. Typically, I don't enjoy those books as much, but this one blew me out of the water, and I loved it so much. The next question is my new favorite author, and this one is a little bit cheating because my answer is Gail Carriger. She's not technically a new author or new to me because I started reading her books in 2018. I had like a month where that's all I was reading, and then I wasn't able to get the next book in the series. So I kind of put it on the back burner and kind of forgot about it until this year. And I am not gonna let that happen again. The next question is new fictional crush. Now, I don't have fictional crushes anymore, at least not like I did when I was 13, 14. Back then, I had a crush on Peeta Mellark and Maxon Shreve, whatever his last name is, from The Selection. Those were like my fictional crushes. But now, I don't really crush on fictional characters, but I do root for couples. And the couple that is my OTP, the best of the best, like, I don't want to ever let them go, is Alexia Terabati and Lord Macon from the Parasol Protectorate series. I'm reading the last book in that series now, and I do not want to let them go at all. Like, it looks like Ted Cooper has decided to join us, so he's just here to talk about books with us. And we were on the question, what is my new favorite character? And that one, the first character that popped into my head was Charles Wallace from the Wrinkle in Time Quartet series. Oh, you don't want Ted Cooper to take all your thunder? So now you have to get in the frame? He's a 5-year-old boy who is very smart, and they say his name at least 100 times a book, and it's just, I don't know, it's just funny, and I enjoy him so much. The next question is a book that made you cry. This one has to go to The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. Oh my goodness. This book had me crying throughout the whole thing. The whole thing. And as soon as I finished it, I just bawled like a baby, and I immediately wished I had read it sooner because I had been putting off this book because of the topic it covers, which is suicide. And I rented this book from the library, and I knew immediately that I need this book in my life. I need to find it somehow and have it on my own shelf. As someone who has lost someone to suicide and also someone who battles with very severe mental health problems myself, this book I felt for every single character and their struggles and how they were dealing with the grief and all the stuff. This book hit me so deeply. Don't think a book has ever made me cry so much. And then the next question is the complete opposite of that, and it's a book that made you happy. And for that one, I'm gonna have to go with You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Thompson or Johnson. I always get it mixed up in my head. I'm sure you've seen this book floating around, especially on book Twitter. It's everywhere. And it deserves to be everywhere because it is amazing. The next question is a beautiful book that you've bought, and that one has to go to this book right here, Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. This book was 100% a book cover buy. Walter and I put this book on our 2 Peas in a Pod book club list because of this pretty cover. All we knew about this book was it was sci-fi, and that's all we cared to know because it was such a pretty cover that we knew we needed to have it in our life. And so during the blackout publishing, I snagged it, and now we're currently reading it, as you can tell. The next question is a book that you need to read by the end of 2020. And for that one, I have 2 answers. The first one is On the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. This is the essay that the evolution theory comes from. And when I was a freshman at university, because I was studying zoology, I decided to pick up it for myself to really read it, and it's been 5 years. So yeah. And then the next book is The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. So I love the Disney Jungle Book, and we named our dog Mowgli, and our cat, who was here, Bagheera, after the characters in the Disney Jungle Book. And I figured, I should probably know what the original book said since it was based off of this book. The Jungle Book is not this big. This book has the Jungle Book, the second Jungle Book, and a 3rd book of Rudyard Kipling's. So I guess that's it. I cannot wait to see what books I read during the second half of 2020. Excited to see at the end of the year how many books I've actually read. Am I gonna beat 100? Am I gonna go to 150? 200? Who knows? I guess that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Tell me some of your favorite books that you've read this year, or most disappointing books you've read this year. And if you would like to support me and watch more of my content, please subscribe. It makes my day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great morning or evening whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Every time. Ted Cooper pooped! Walter! Ted Cooper pooped! No, you got cleaned up. Yes. Oh, he walked in it!